We have time for a few questions before coffee, and we even have a microphone, I believe, to help anybody who has one. So, any of our speakers will be pleased to answer questions directed to any other of our speakers. Well, when you gentlemen speak, not a dog barks.
The question was whether it is inevitable, or whether I think it is inevitable, that when chemists write history, they write Whig history. I don't think it is inevitable, but it certainly characterizes the early histories of chemistry, especially the 19th century ones. Partington is not a Whig historian. He is almost an antiquarian. He collects every detail and plugs it in. But no, I wouldn't call him a Whig historian. I think in the case of the story of physical chemistry, Keith Laidler, that it's remarkable how little Whig history there is in his treatment of the fields where he is especially competent. And I mentioned he was one of, if not the foremost chemical kineticist of his generation. He wrote about Vernon Harcourt and various previous physical chemists looking at kinetics. And I think he's got it right. He doesn't always say where the problem has come from. He doesn't always say how it was received. But how the man worked, and it was almost always the man, how the man worked, he treats, I think, superbly. Whereas if you look at Kopp, at Ladenburg, at the big names in the 19th century, they very definitely do write Whig history. And I don't know to what extent the gradual awareness that history doesn't always lead just to me or you, but might have some wider significance. Yeah, I'd say 19th century certainly Whig, 20th century decreasingly Whig. And there is a synoptic history of chemistry by a Japanese scholar, came out a year or two ago, and I cannot remember his name, but that's the way I am with names. He's somewhere between Partington and the Germans. He tells the story in terms of all the participants, he gets it right, but he does have a habit of showing how one was destined to lead to the next.
We have time for another question or two. I don't want to protract the morning if there's no need for it, but please take advantage of this unusual collection of speakers we have. Yes, ma'am.
The larger context of all of this, I suppose, is looking around at the current state of history of science and the current state of rigorous scholarship, or difference between fact and falsehoods that get repeated until they become fact. So there's a very loud echo that I'd like to have Noel comment on about. I don't know, I wasn't quite sure whether
Well, wait,
It's a very
up
modern
until this
situation.
time, these things are, up until this time, these things are only distributed in manuscript. He is the very, very first person to want to print
But what
these
kind of
things.
market, who was going to purchase?
That is a good question. The number of manuscripts is minuscule. So I think what you're dealing with is things getting circulated among,
No, I
you
mean,
know, a
so
handful
then
of
printing
people.
them, was there any hope of profit to the person doing the printing?
He had a financial backer in Nuremberg named Bernhard Walter, who was a rich citizen of Nuremberg. Who was going to make any money on this, I have no idea. Also, it's not clear how many copies of the things that he did publish he actually printed. It said that of the calendarium, he printed 1,000 copies. That's probably an exaggeration. My guess is that of the handful of things he got out, there may have been 200 copies printed. Not much survives. There's only 3 copies of that survive.
Well, I think we have.
It felt to me like Regiomontanus's complaints echo our conversation about Twitter, Instagram, and about all the false truths being mistranslated. He was railing just the way we do today.
He simply knew more than anybody else.
This is a sad position to be in, actually. So I trust that you will agree with me that our speakers, by giving us a glimpse of the reasoned argument and the faithfulness to sources and the commitment to history that has made their distinguished careers, have admirably set the stage for our further discussions. So please, a final round of applause for our recidivists in the band.